Hi everyone, Michael here. Now, in my role as a freelance guitar player, I get to play many different styles of music. But today I've got the Les Paul, and we're going to be looking at a riff by Slash and Lenny Kravitz, Always on the Run, from the 1991 album Mama Said. The riff goes like this. I'm going to play it and then I'll take you through it. Here we go. Alright, so this riff is on the low E, A and D strings. We've got a low bounce on the low E, up to A string, 7th fret, 5th fret and 4th fret, back up to the 5th fret. A little slide in between the 5 and the 4 there. And then a low bounce on the E again, going up to that D string on the 5th fret, pulling open. And then flicking on from the 5 and the 7 on the A. So we get... And from the top, very slowly. And then we carry on with our opening phrase, which is... again. And then the last phrase is... A string on the 5th fret, pulling to the open. Down to the 3rd fret of the E, pulling to the open. And a flick on 5 and 7 on the A string. So put it all together very slowly. And up to speed, it does this. So there's the riff, very cool, great for impressing the neighbours, family, friends. Great for your timing and feel.
Last time I saw you play was with Roger Daltrey performing Tommy at the O2. I was privileged to be in that audience.
Yeah, great.
I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And how did you?
Roger wanted to make the production as close to the original recording as possible, bearing in mind a few things needed. The keys dropping, and you know, for his voice mainly. Also, some things are just impossible to play without detuning and moving them around. But yeah, I mean, it was an intense amount of work putting Tommy together, much more than I think we ever imagined.
What was it like playing in the closing Olympic ceremony?
Oh, it was mind-blowing. That was mind-blowing because of the whole... You really think everything's going to be so well organised, and you get there and you realise it's all hanging on a thread, you know, and everyone's running around making... You know, a lot of decisions are made quite late in the day, which when you're working on television, you actually think it's all going to be dealt with weeks ahead. And I think that's what shocked me most of all. And also the amount of superstars hanging around and the camaraderie of everyone when you're involved in a project like that, how everyone becomes very friendly and how cool it is really to be part of something like that.
Going back to your acoustic set tonight, I noticed you were playing the Gibson Everly acoustic.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the J200. It seems to be your favourite, or not? Which one do you favour?
The Everly is slowly catching up. The action's a little lower on the Everly, so for certain songs where I like to get a bit more sustain and ring, I use the J200. But you know, they're both fantastic guitars. It's a difficult one. I mean, I don't put one above the other. They both have their own sound. I think the Everly is warmer.
The Everly is a J185, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's an old one. I think it's 64, something like that.
Oh right, because in the 50s the Everly brothers were playing J200s.
Right, yeah.
And Gibson decided, I don't know why, to produce that model that's slightly smaller.
Yeah, and
So you think that's a warmer sound?
I do think
Yeah.
it's a slightly warmer, especially recorded. It's a wonderful, warm sound, but it lacks a little bit of brightness that you get off the J200.
Right. I listened to your album, Looking Out, Looking In. I love the acoustic work on She Asked Me. Can you tell me about the instrumentation on that?
Well, there's a little bit of mandolin in there as well, but it's mainly acoustic, isn't it? Acoustic
Yeah.
bass and drums, and then some lead guitar. I mean, I wanted to keep that one fairly simple because it was a very inspired song. About 4 o'clock in the morning, I came up with a riff and then the chorus line, and I think it's an inspired lyric as well, with the someone asking you to write them a song that you can't sing to anyone because it's about someone nobody knows about.
And acoustic-wise, do you have any Martins?
I don't. That's bad, isn't it? That's bad. I don't have any Martin.
Well, I think it's just a personal taste, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of got a lot of acoustics. I used to have a Taylor acoustic which I gave to one of my kids, and a couple of Collins acoustics. One of them I gave to another of my kids, and it's kind of you know, how many acoustics can you have? As long as you've got a good acoustic to record with.
Simon Townsend, thank you for taking the time out to speak to me, and I'm going to enjoy the set tonight.
Fantastic, cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Michael, we've heard you play a one-string electric guitar out of household junk, and I think you mastered the diddly bow.
I'm not sure I did,
Yeah.
but it made an interesting noise.
Now you're playing a classic Strat.
The Stratocaster, yeah, it's a design that hasn't changed since what, 1952 was it?
52?
Dave Gilmour's got the first one, isn't he?
Dave Gilmour, of course, classic Strat player. 2 pieces of wood essentially bolted together.
Yeah,
Which
bolt
I
on neck.
guess, would you say, gives it that high, the treble tone?
I'm not sure if that is the reason it's got the sound it's got.
But
It's a very versatile sounding guitar, and I think it's a lot to do with the single coil pickups. Very, I guess they sort of twang.
And of course the tremolo arm being pretty much unique to the Fender Stratocaster.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that the Strat has got is the what we call it, a whammy bar, I guess, is it's the non-technical term for it. Maybe I could change the pitch, and I mean the original one made in 1952 had a whammy bar, very similar to this.
Yeah. And what about the pickups?
Pickups,
essentially going back to the 50s.
Yeah,
They're still pretty much the same design.
Same design, single coil sound, and it gives you. The Stratocaster is such a versatile using guitar. You can use it for many sounds because it's got these 3 pickups which give you many sort of combinations. You can go from that sound to that sound. You know.
Right.
So that's I'm just hitting the strings exactly the same, but you get those 5 different sounds, which. It's probably unique to any Stratocaster type guitar. I mean, a lot of guitars are based now on this guitar, but he got it right initially.
Yeah, sure. So you're fundamentally a Stratocaster player, number one.
Yeah, I mean, I do own Gibsons and I do, play Les Pauls occasionally, but I'm more at home with a Stratocaster type guitar. I mean, I play the Tylers and I used the old Valley Arts guitars, and I use the Fender Strats, because of
Well, that brings me on to the Les Paul.
The Les Paul, yeah.
Which we have one of your Les Pauls here.
Let's plug it in, shall
Should we plug it in and see what you can do?
So the Gibson Les Paul, again, hasn't changed design since what, 1952, and it was designed for Les Paul himself, a great player. But it's got a much thicker sound. It's a real thicker sound,
The fundamental difference would you agree, that we got a bolt-on neck with 2 pieces of wood there.
With the Fender.
And with this we've got, was it 5 pieces of wood that are glued together?
Yeah, this is
but essentially we're still hand-built processes.
Yeah,
and
mahogany back, maple top, and the humbuckers are you know, got much more output than the single coils. So you get a much great for rock, I guess. That's why so many players like Slash use it.
Yeah.
It's a big sound, just, you know. I mean, we're plugged into a little practice amp, but it's a big sound from the guitar.
So these two guitars are really from one end of the spectrum to the other in electric
Yeah,
guitars, and most other guitars, in a way, are somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, everything sort of is derived from these two. You know, not everything, but a lot of the guitar market is derived from these two original designs. I mean, these are so iconic that even if you don't play guitar, you just recognise the shape of a Les Paul and a Stratocaster.
And in a way, both manufacturers, Fender and Gibson, can't get away from those iconic designs, can they?
Not really. Guitarists don't like change. You know, they don't. You know, and I feel happy with the Les Paul, and I feel happy with the Strat.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to deviate from that, and me and a lot of other players, I guess. But you know, but that's just me. I could just be old-fashioned.